Cozy Crew, and welcome to my very first vlog. I'm actually very nervous because, believe it or not, I'm a very private person, so this is all new to me. Without further ado, let's just jump right in. My name is B, and I got into cozy gaming last year because I was experiencing some really bad anxiety and I was coming off the tail end of a really bad stint of depression. So I wanted to find something that I could do where I could just like kind of reset my nervous system and get out of my head and just be able to focus on something without being too caught up with feeling anxious. So I ended up finding Palia by accident. So I was on TikTok one day and I had went down this rabbit hole of work from home streams, and the girls were using those very aesthetically pleasing keyboards with the ASMR typing, and I was like, wow, this is very calming. Keep it in the background when I would go to sleep, or I would watch it when I was getting ready for work, and I found it to be very relaxing. So I ended up actually getting a keyboard, and that was the start of literally everything. One of the girls, I forgot her name, but I just went down this rabbit hole of her page, and she was saying that she's a cozy gamer and that she streams and all this stuff. So again, at that time I didn't even have Twitch, but I was like, well, let me go see, like, what is she doing exactly? And I fell in love. She was playing Palia, and I'm like, what is this? And then when I found out that the game was free, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna try this out. Because at that point, I didn't consider myself a gamer or anything like that. So I didn't want to waste money on a game I never played again. I started playing the game. And then the girl and a bunch of other people that I was learning how to play the game from were actual streamers. So I was like, I think I want to stream. And I'm like, what the heck? Where is this coming from? And where it was coming from was because right before COVID, I had a lot of personal stuff happening. I ended up losing one of my sisters, and that plus all the other personal stuff that I had going on really like snowballed me into this depression. And then COVID happened, which I'm sure everyone has their own version of tumultuous events that transpired as a result of COVID. So I was coming off like a multi-year stint of all of that. Now, I'm not gonna get too deep into that because I don't want this video to be too long and I don't want it to get dark and I don't want to get emotional. But right around that time that all this was happening, I also had just finished my doctorate degree. And it was a bittersweet moment because it's like, how can I celebrate this when I have my other stuff going on? And it was actually a very big accomplishment for me because I graduated with my doctorate degree before I was even 30. And up until that point, I had always had a job and I had always been a student. So I had identified with these multiple identities that I never felt like I was 100% just giving all of my effort and energy to one thing because I'm a multifaceted person. For example, I have other platforms that I'm going to be starting that are like more professional, like talking about mental health and stuff like that, and relaunching my podcast, but I'm not going to merge them. I'm not going to merge cozy with that stuff because they're completely separate. But the point that I'm making is I'm a multifaceted person, and so I am not just all of one thing. And so after I graduated and I was just identifying as an employee, that kind of took a toll on my mental health too, because I'm just like, I want to be doing something more. So fast forward, that brings me to streaming because, well, I love learning and I like challenging myself, and I was becoming bored. So, can I really teach myself how to stream? Like, can I simultaneously teach myself how to play the game enough to be able to stream it? And I am proud to say that I researched like Twitch, I researched OBS, I researched all these things, and I really took it from just a thought from seeing someone else do it to literally pressing go live and actually starting that. I was doing it on a 2017 MacBook that was on its very last leg. At that point, it was more of me proving to myself that this is something that I consider to actually be very hard, and I did it. I was so proud of myself because when you're depressed, well, for most people, let me say, I don't want to do a blanket statement, but when you're going through depression, you become very hopeless, very pessimistic. And at that point, because I had did a very traditional pathway, you go to school, you get the degrees, you get the good job and all of these things. And I excelled at that because I'm just at heart like an overachiever, right? And then at the end of it, I'm like, this is it. Like it's like, you did all that for what? Like, yeah, I got a cool job, and yeah, I have the accolades to show for it. But at the end of the day, it's not like I feel any better. Like I'm just elated beyond compare. Now, that is a side effect of the depression, right? Everything just becomes, you look at everything from like this negative Nancy lens. So me doing the streaming was like my first real taste of, okay, you're not doing this to just check something off. Like you're doing this solely for your own interest. You're doing this solely as a way to reconnect with yourself, to reconnect with your inner childhood. And then playing Palia was just the icing on the cake because it's such a nice community, welcoming community, and the game is just so aesthetically pleasing. It was just a full circle thing. And then I remember when I finally started getting people trickling into my streams, it was, I think, like my 5th stream in a row, and Raiden Dogs came. And we stayed on that stream for 5 hours while troubleshooting. At some point, my audio was terrible, so we were communicating in the chat for the majority of that 5 hours because my audio wasn't working. And shout out to Raiden Dog, because that was the start of me like, okay, if someone was willing to sit here with me for 5 hours without being able to hear me, without me even knowing what I'm doing, like, I felt so, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I was thinking to myself, if Raiden Dog never comes back to my stream, like, I appreciated that more than it made me feel so seen, and it made me feel like not stupid for trying something. I'm getting emotional because who does that? Like, I don't think I would have sat in someone's stream for 5 hours and I couldn't even hear them. Like, I don't know. So that was the start. Hold on. Okay. Sorry. So that was the start of me realizing like, oh, I really like this, this community, like, because people are so nice for no reason. Like, I don't even know you, And I at that point, I mean, again, like, my audio was trash. So it's not like I was like super duper entertaining, at least that, Oh, that's so cringe. Anyways, fast forward, I'm this seriously because I gave myself an original goal that I had to do 30 streams back to back. Long story short, I ended up buying a gaming laptop, and then the rest is history. So people started trickling in, helping me with the gameplay, helping me with other aspects, and the rest is history. So fast forward, right? That happened, and I just fell in love. So that's the long story short. Here we are. I'm just gonna document my journey as a content creator, document my journey as someone who is getting into learning different cozy hobbies and really tapping into my inner child, because I do feel like I said, I'm a multifaceted person. So I have a very serious, highly intellectual side where I'm like, I'm a geek at heart. Like, I'm really a nerd and I love learning, and I'm so excited to start really customizing everything to really reflect my personality. That's the brief intro to my channel. Today, for this vlog, we are going to cook bacon, egg, and cheese croissant because I'm hungry. And then after that, I'm gonna go to the gym. And then after that, we'll probably do some work. And then after that, I do wanna bake some cookies. Funny story about the oven. We'll talk about that later. But without further ado, let's go make some breakfast. So the gym was cool, and I went home, I took a quick shower, and now we're at Target. So we're gonna get I need some body wash. I wanna get some things for my charcuterie board, because I wanna do a charcuterie board. Probably not today, but later on this week. And then, what else? Oh, we're here for the cookies. So I need to buy the cookies. I need to buy a baking pan, and I don't know if I want milk or ice cream, maybe both, to go with the cookies. So we're gonna go inside and then, yeah. Okay, so I'm about to bake these cookies, but I told you guys I had a funny story about the oven. So a couple months ago, I tried using the oven and like preheating it to 350, but it wasn't letting me go over a certain number. So I'm like, okay, I guess the bake feature doesn't work. So I broiled the cookies, and you guessed it, they came out disgusting. I just had this random epiphany. I was like, oh, the oven is probably in Celsius degrees instead of Fahrenheit. And that's why it wasn't letting me go above a certain number, because like most American ovens, I feel, are, when you change the temperature, is in Fahrenheit and not Celsius. So that's my theory. We're gonna test it out, and we're gonna see if the cookies come out good. So let's see. Okay, they came out a little more crispier than I would have liked. I think a couple things went wrong here. I need to raise the lowest shelf in there. I think it's too close to the bottom. And then next time I need to just leave it in there for less time. Overall, I'm probably going to eat these still, and I will see you guys later.